What if I told you that your penis has been shrinking, slowly, silently, for the last 2 decades, and no one ever told you? That it's not just a myth, not a scare tactic, but a medically documented process that affects millions of men over 60? And what if I also told you it's not too late to reverse it? That's right. This isn't some internet gimmick or false hope. It's real science, and it's been hidden under layers of silence, shame, and outdated beliefs for far too long. Let me explain. My name is Dr. James. I'm a board-certified men's health specialist, and for over 30 years, I've worked with thousands of men in their 60s, 70s, and even well into their 80s, helping them reclaim their confidence, their function, and yes, even their penile length. Most of them came to me believing it was simply too late, that what they'd lost over time was gone for good. But here's the truth. You can increase penile length after 60, not with magic, not with risky pills, but with science-backed strategies that work with your body's natural systems, not against them. Here's what most men don't realize. The male body doesn't just lose testosterone with age. It undergoes subtle, physical changes, many of them starting quietly in your 40s and 50s. Over time, the tissue of the penis becomes less elastic. Blood flow becomes less efficient, and the structural integrity of that tissue starts to weaken, leading to a gradual, invisible loss of length. Not all at once, but inch by inch, until one day you look in the mirror and wonder, when did this change? The problem isn't just the change itself. It's that no one ever talks about it. Not your doctor, not your friends, not the health magazines that claim to understand aging. But I'm here to break that silence. Because I believe every man has the right to understand what's happening to his body. And more importantly, how to fight back with knowledge, with care, and with real proven methods. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 5 medically supported techniques that can help restore lost length, improve blood flow, and rebuild your connection to your body in a way that feels empowering, not shameful. These are the same techniques I've used with patients in my clinic, and they work. Now let me be clear. This isn't about chasing youth or trying to impress anyone. It's about reconnecting with your sense of masculinity on your terms. It's about feeling like yourself again, not just in body but in spirit. And if you stay with me until the end of this audio, I'll reveal one powerful, little-known food that's been quietly transforming results for men over 60. Chances are, it's already sitting in your kitchen right now. Before we dive in, if this kind of honest, practical, life-changing information matters to you, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I make content designed specifically for men in their 60s and beyond, because your health still matters. Your story isn't over, and if this message is speaking to you already, just type the number 1 in the comments to let me know you're here. If not, type 0. I read every reply, and your feedback helps shape the videos I create for you. Now, let's begin with the first method. It's simple, it's safe, and it's something you can start doing today, in your own home. It involves no medication, no surgery, and no cost, just your time and commitment. Let's move on to the second method, one that goes deeper than what you see in the mirror. Because for many men, the real issue isn't size, it's circulation. 2. Improve blood flow with targeted vascular exercises. I once treated a man named Harold. He was a retired firefighter, tough as nails on the outside. But when he sat across from me, his voice was quiet, even a little hesitant. "Doc," he said, "I'm not trying to be 20 again. I just want to feel like the man my wife married." That sentence stayed with me, not because it was dramatic, but because it was real. Harold didn't want to relive his youth. He wanted to reconnect with his partner, with his body, with the strength he once felt as a man. And like so many others, the thing standing in the way wasn't lack of desire or drive. It was blood flow. You see, a lot of men are told that erection problems are all about testosterone or psychology. But at its core, an erection is a vascular event. It's about circulation. No matter how strong your desire is, if the blood isn't moving, nothing else will. As we age, especially past 60, the arteries become stiffer. The pelvic floor muscles weaken from years of disuse. And as a result, blood struggles to reach the very place it's needed most. That's where vascular exercises come in, specifically pelvic floor training. You may have heard of Kegel exercises before, usually mentioned in relation to women's health. But what many men don't know is that these same movements can be even more transformative for male sexual function. When done properly and consistently, they strengthen the core muscles that control erections, ejaculation, and blood retention. It's like waking up a system that's been napping for 20 years. I've seen men in their 60s and 70s go from barely being able to sustain an erection to experiencing longer, firmer, more reliable performance in just a few weeks. Not because of pills or devices, but because they started training muscles they didn't even know they had. Harold was skeptical at first. "Wait, Doc, you're saying I have to work out muscles I've never used?" I smiled and said, "Exactly. But the beauty is, you don't need a gym. You don't need anyone watching. These are private exercises, with very public benefits. You can do them while standing, sitting, lying in bed. No one knows, but your body will. And very soon, your partner might too." After just 4 weeks of consistent practice, Harold came back to my office with a grin on his face and a whole new confidence in his step. "Doc," he said, "I don't know what kind of magic this is, but I haven't felt this solid in years. That's what improved blood flow does. It doesn't just restore function. It restores confidence. It restores presence. It makes you feel like your body is working with you, not against you. And there's more. These exercises don't just help with erections. They improve bladder control, lower back support, and overall pelvic health. But for our focus here, they act like a natural pump, driving more blood into the erectile tissue. And as any vascular specialist will tell you, the more frequently tissue expands, the more responsive it becomes to growth over time. It's simple. It's safe. It's supported by decades of clinical research, and it only requires one thing: your commitment. Once you begin to feel that pulse of energy coming back, once you realize your body still knows how to respond, you'll understand something deeper. You are not done growing. Now, blood flow is absolutely critical, but it's only one piece of the puzzle. Because while the physical systems matter, your internal chemistry plays a major role too. Up next, we'll dive into the hormonal engine behind your vitality. Specifically, one essential hormone that quietly declines after 40, robbing you of energy, performance, and yes, even size. But what if I told you there were natural, science-backed ways to restore that hormone safely and reignite your body's growth signals from the inside out? Now that we've covered the importance of blood flow, let's shift inward to the chemical engine that powers your vitality as a man. 3. Restore testosterone naturally, fuel for growth. I'll never forget the day Robert walked into my office. A 72-year-old retired mechanic, sleeves rolled up, hands calloused from years of work, but eyes that told a different story. He sat down, let out a sigh, and said something I've heard from countless men in his stage of life. "Doc, I'm doing everything right. I eat clean, I take my walks, but I still feel like something just shut off inside me. Like I'm running on half the fuel I used to." And you know what? He was absolutely right. What Robert described wasn't just fatigue or the weight of aging. It was a hormonal shift. A slow, quiet fading of one of the most powerful signals in a man's body. Testosterone. See, most people think of testosterone as the sex hormone, but that barely scratches the surface. Testosterone is a growth signal. It tells your body to stay strong, stay lean, stay driven. It's what fuels confidence, sharp thinking, and yes, healthy, full erections. It maintains the tone and structure of penile tissue. It even plays a vital role in sustaining length during arousal. So when testosterone declines, as it naturally does, starting in your 40s and dropping sharply by your 60s, you begin to feel it everywhere. Your energy dips. Erections lose strength and fullness. The tissue itself becomes less responsive. And bit by bit, without warning, men notice not just a change in performance, but in size. And worst of all, they assume it's just part of getting older. But here's the truth. Aging might be inevitable, but decline is not. I've seen it time and time again. Men who believed they were past their prime, only to experience a complete transformation by making small, consistent changes that naturally boost testosterone. Take Robert, for example. We didn't put him on intense workouts or risky medications. We started simple, light strength training, just body weight movements, resistance bands, things he could do at home a few times a week. And slowly, his body began to respond. He stood taller. His energy picked up. Morning erections returned with strength and clarity. And in his own words, it's like someone flipped the switch back on. I don't feel old. I feel awake. But movement was only part of it. We looked at his nutrition, and like many men, Robert was missing key micronutrients essential for testosterone production: zinc, vitamin D, magnesium. Once we corrected those through whole foods and basic supplements, the results accelerated. That's the power of restoring hormones naturally. It doesn't just improve numbers on a chart. It changes how you feel in your skin. It rebuilds your relationship with your body. And with that internal fuel flowing again, something remarkable happens. Penile tissue becomes more responsive. Erections become stronger, fuller. Sensation returns. And yes, natural length, especially during arousal, begins to visibly improve. Now let me be clear. This isn't about chasing the testosterone of a 25-year-old. It's about helping your body return to its best version of itself at your age. It's about giving your system what it needs to thrive, not just survive. Not every man will need hormone therapy. In fact, most don't. What they need is awareness and a commitment to supporting their own biology in a smart, consistent way, because the truth is, the body is always listening. You just have to speak its language. And testosterone, it's one of the clearest, loudest signals you can send. When Robert returned 3 months later, I barely recognized him. Not because of how he looked, but because of how he carried himself. He looked me straight in the eye and said, "I don't just feel like a man again. I feel like myself again." And honestly, that's what most men want. Not to impress, not to perform, just to feel whole again, before stress, time, and age chipped away at their edge. But while testosterone is the engine, there's something else your body needs just as much to perform at its best. Especially when it comes to achieving measurable, visible gains in length and firmness. It's a natural compound your body already makes, a spark that fuels every strong erection. But here's the problem. That spark fades with age, unless you know how to reignite it. That's exactly what we'll talk about next. And believe me, this one discovery has changed everything for men over 60. If this journey has resonated with you so far, go ahead and type 1 in the comments. I want to know you're still with me. Now let's move forward to the fourth pillar of true, lasting change. Now that we've addressed testosterone, the internal fuel for growth, let's look at the delivery system that carries that power exactly where it needs to go. Because even with motivation, desire, and hormonal balance, nothing happens without this next ingredient. 4. L-arginine and L-citrulline, the nitric oxide boosters. There's something profoundly humbling about witnessing a strong, seasoned man. Someone who's built a career, raised children, survived life's storms, finally say out loud what he's been quietly carrying for years. "Doc, it's just not working like it used to." That's exactly what Martin, a retired postal worker in his late 60s, told me. He didn't sound ashamed. He didn't even sound frustrated anymore. He sounded tired. Tired of doing everything right. Eating healthy, staying active, getting his checkups, yet still struggling to achieve and maintain a strong, lasting erection. "I don't need to be 20 again," he said. "I just want to feel like a man again. I miss that part of me." And he's far from alone. What most men don't realize is that underneath all the hormones, mindset shifts, and lifestyle changes, there is one tiny molecule that controls the core engine of every erection. And it's not testosterone. It's called nitric oxide. You won't see it in headlines. It doesn't get the flashy marketing. But this molecule is everything. It's what tells your blood vessels to open. It relaxes arterial walls. It creates space for blood to flow fully into the penis, initiating firmness, maintaining length, and sustaining the erection. Without enough nitric oxide, your body simply can't respond. Even if your heart is healthy, even if your testosterone is optimal, without nitric oxide, nothing moves. And here's the problem. Just like testosterone, Your body's production of nitric oxide naturally declines with age. By the time you hit 60, your levels are often less than half of what they were in your younger years, which means even if everything else is in place, your body might still be lacking the spark. But the good news? Science has found a way to restore that spark naturally. Through 2 amino acids your body already knows how to use, L-arginine and L-citrulline. These aren't synthetic drugs or miracle pills. They're nutrients found in food, produced in small amounts within your body, and now available in supplemental form that can gently, effectively stimulate your body's natural production of nitric oxide. I remember putting Martin on a basic regimen, nothing extreme. Just L-citrulline in the morning, L-arginine at night, and a diet rich in leafy greens, beets, and heart-friendly fats. Within a few weeks, he came back with a light in his eyes I hadn't seen before. "Doc," he said, "it's like my body remembered how it used to work." His morning erections were fuller, his energy rose. But more than the physical change, it was the hope that returned. That powerful feeling of, "I'm not done yet." That's what nitric oxide does. It restores possibility. The beauty of this approach is that it doesn't force the body. It supports it. It reminds the system how to function on its own terms. When nitric oxide increases, blood flows more freely. Penile tissue responds more completely. Erections become firmer, longer lasting. And when that happens more consistently, the tissue expands, the structures stretch, length and girth respond. I've seen it happen over and over. Men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s, coming back to life in a way they thought was long gone. And it's not just about sex. Higher nitric oxide levels mean better cardiovascular health, sharper brain function, improved energy, and overall vitality. For older men, L-arginine and L-citrulline are like flipping the lights back on. But consistency matters. Dosage matters. Timing matters. You can't take one capsule and expect fireworks. This is a process. A few smart choices, a few minutes a day, and over time the body starts to listen, and then respond. This is one of the gifts of getting older. We may slow down, but we gain something powerful in return. Patience. And with patience, the body has space to rebuild. Martin wasn't the only one who told me he felt 10 years younger after restoring his nitric oxide levels. I've heard it from teachers, veterans, ministers, and lifelong laborers from all walks of life. And I always tell them the same thing: your body is not broken. It's just waiting for the right signal. But even as we rebuild blood flow, hormones, and physical growth, there's still one piece left. Perhaps the most important of all. Because even if your body is ready, if your mind and heart are carrying shame, guilt, or loneliness, you'll never feel truly whole. What we need next isn't physical. It's mental. It's emotional. And it might just be the most powerful growth tool you've had all along. That's what we'll explore in the final part. And trust me, this one changes everything. Now we come to something most men never expect, because no one really talks about it. We've explored blood flow, testosterone, supplements, and even physical therapy. But we haven't yet touched the one thing that quietly determines how all of that works together. 5. Psychological reconnection and visual training. This part of the journey is about more than biology. It's about belief. You see, when we talk about men's health, especially as we get older, we focus on the body, circulation, hormones, nutrition, performance. But what we almost never talk about is something far more subtle and far more powerful: how we see ourselves. Because whether we admit it or not, our self-image, the internal story we carry about what it means to be a man, has a direct, measurable impact on how our body functions. It shapes our confidence, our connection, and yes, even our erections. I'll never forget one of my patients, Alan, a 69-year-old retired professor, sharp mind, gentle spirit. And during one session he said something that stopped me cold. "Doc," he said, "I think I stopped seeing myself as a man years ago. I still function, but I don't feel like the man I used to be." That hit deep, because it wasn't about size, it wasn't even about performance, it was about identity. Alan still had the physical capacity, his body was functional, but in his mind, He had disconnected from the part of himself that felt powerful, that felt masculine. And that disconnection matters, more than most men ever realize. Modern neuroscience has finally caught up to what many holistic practitioners and therapists have said for decades. The mind and body are not separate. They are in constant conversation. And when we stop believing in our strength, when we quietly accept decline as inevitable, our body listens, and it follows. But here's the incredible truth. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself, doesn't retire at 60. It keeps going. And that means we can create real, physical changes through mental and emotional reconnection. So I introduced Alan to something simple. 5 minutes of visual training each morning. He'd sit quietly. No phone, no noise, just presence. And he would picture himself, not as he was at 30, but as he could be now. Strong, capable, energized, alive. He'd mentally visualize blood flowing, muscles responsive, arousal present. And then we added affirmations, not fluffy ones, but clear, grounded truths. I am still growing. I am present in my body. I am connected to my strength. At first, it felt awkward. He laughed, but he stayed with it. And after just a few weeks, something subtle began to shift. He told me, I started seeing myself differently in the mirror, not with shame, but with respect. And slowly, that internal shift began showing up externally. In the bedroom, in his posture, in the way he looked at his partner. More confidence, more control, more connection. Because here's what I know. When a man believes he's still capable, his body starts to agree. The brain sends stronger signals. Nerves respond. Blood flow improves. Sensation returns. And yes, performance, length, arousal, they begin to rebound. Not from magic, but from finally clearing away the mental fog that's been holding him back. If you've spent years carrying quiet shame, doubt, or disconnection from your body, hear this. It's not too late to let it go. You are not past your prime. That's a story. And stories can change. You can choose a different narrative. One that reconnects you with your power. One that reminds you that the most important relationship in your life isn't just with a partner. It's the one between you and your body. Visual training isn't pretend. It's practice. It's returning to yourself with awareness, with care, and with dignity. I've watched farmers, veterans, musicians, and teachers shift how they see themselves, and in doing so, unlock real, measurable transformation. Not just in how their body functions, but in how they move, speak, and love. And the most beautiful part? It's free. No devices, no prescriptions. Just 5 minutes a day. And the courage to see yourself through the lens of strength instead of shame. We've covered a long road together. Traction therapy, blood flow, hormone optimization, nitric oxide, and now the mind-body connection. But we're not done yet. Because there's still one last thing I want to leave you with. Something practical, often overlooked, and shockingly powerful. In the final part, I'll share 2 things. A truth most men over 60 never hear until it's too late. And a simple everyday food, yes, a food that could become your most surprising ally in this entire journey. You won't want to miss it. 6. This isn't about vanity. It's about vitality. After more than 30 years of sitting across from men, husbands, fathers, veterans, builders, teachers, one thing has become crystal clear to me. These conversations almost never start with ego. They almost always start with something softer, something deeper. Doc, I just want to feel like myself again. Not more impressive, not younger, just whole. And if I've learned anything through thousands of honest, sometimes difficult conversations, it's this. This journey isn't about inches, or pills, or muscles. It's about vitality. It's about reclaiming a part of yourself that the world, time, and stress tried to take away. A part that whispers in the quiet moments. I'm still here. Somewhere along the way, many men begin to feel like passengers in their own bodies. Like things are just happening to them. They stop believing they have agency over their strength, their energy, their sexuality. But I'm here to remind you. You do. There is nothing vain about wanting to wake up and feel strong in your bones again. There's nothing foolish about looking in the mirror at 60, 70, or beyond and saying, I still matter. Because you do. All the methods we've explored together, traction therapy, pelvic floor training, testosterone support, nitric oxide boosters, visual training, are tools, not gimmicks, not quick fixes. Tools to help you return to the man you still are. I've seen men change the course of their health and lives by committing to just one or two of these practices. Not because they were desperate, but because they were ready. Ready to stop settling. Ready to stop believing the quiet lie that it's too late. And because I always want to leave you with something practical, something rooted in nature, not hype. Let me share one final tool. It's not a supplement. It's not some hidden secret. It's a food you've probably walked past 100 times in the grocery store. Beets. Yes, beets. That deep red root vegetable your grandmother may have pickled and served with dinner. But what most men don't realize is that beets are one of the most powerful natural sources of dietary nitrates. Compounds your body converts into nitric oxide, the very molecule responsible for blood vessel expansion and increased circulation, and circulation, as you now know, is everything. Several clinical studies have shown that daily beet consumption can significantly enhance blood flow, not just to the heart and brain, but to the penis. I've had men begin drinking a small glass of beet juice each morning or adding cooked beets to their dinner, and within weeks they report stronger morning erections, quicker arousal, and improved recovery time. It's not magic, it's biology. And it works especially well for older men, because while nitric oxide production declines, the body's responsiveness to it remains. The benefits don't stop in the bedroom. Beets also support heart health, lower blood pressure, and boost stamina. They nourish your body from the inside out. Simple, honest, effective, just like most good things in life. So, if you're still here, if you've made it this far, I want to say something clearly. You are not broken. You are not too late. And you are certainly not finished. You are standing at the threshold of a new chapter. And this time, you get to write it. You get to choose strength. You get to choose connection. You get to choose yourself. On your own terms. But before we close, I want to leave you with something I believe every man over 60 deserves to hear at least once in his life. A new chapter begins. Every man has a quiet moment. The house is still. The noise of life settles. The world isn't watching. And somewhere deep inside he wonders, is this it? Have I reached the edge of what's possible for me? And far too often the answer he hears, whether from doctors, media, or his own self-doubt, is yes. But I'm here to tell you, that answer is wrong. It's not even close. Because possibility doesn't expire with age. It just waits, quietly, patiently, for permission. Together, we've walked through every layer of this journey. We began with the truth that penile length and performance don't have to fade silently with age. That even in your 60s, 70s, or beyond, your body still holds the blueprint for growth, repair, and renewal. We talked about traction therapy, how gentle, consistent stretching stimulates new cellular growth, not with force, but with patience. We explored vascular health, the forgotten muscles deep in your pelvis that can be reawakened to support firmer, longer-lasting erections. We broke down testosterone, not as a silver bullet, but as a foundational signal for your entire system to rebuild. Then came nitric oxide, the silent spark behind every powerful erection. Through L-arginine, L-citrulline, and even foods like beets and leafy greens, we gave your body the raw materials it needs to perform again. And, most recently, we stepped into the mind. The stories you tell yourself, the beliefs you carry, the quiet dignity of a man who stops hiding from his own reflection and starts seeing himself with strength. I've shared these stories not because they're dramatic, but because they're true. Men like Robert, Alan, Martin, each of them chose to believe that change was still possible. They didn't chase youth. They reclaimed ownership. One quiet decision at a time. You can too. This journey was never about vanity. It's about vitality. It's about standing in front of the mirror and seeing a man who hasn't given up on himself, a man who still fights, who still hopes, who still believes that something better is possible, because it is. You are not defined by your age. You are not defined by your past limitations. You are defined by the actions you choose today. So if there's one message I hope you carry forward, let it be this. You are not finished. Not even close. Your body, your strength, your intimacy, they are not behind you. They are waiting for you to return. And it's never too late to begin again. Try one thing. Just one. Start your first gentle stretch. Drink a glass of beet juice. Do your first set of pelvic floor exercises. Visualize your body strong again. You don't have to do everything. You just have to begin. Because the first step isn't about the body. It's about belief. Belief that growth is still yours to claim. I've seen what happens when a man makes that choice. He doesn't just improve in the bedroom. He stands taller. He speaks clearer. He walks with presence. Because something inside him has come alive again. That's the power of deciding you still matter. That you still can. So here's to your next chapter. One not marked by decline, but by renewal. Not by silence, but by strength. You've earned the right to feel alive. Again, and the best part? You don't need permission. You just need to say yes. Now go reclaim what's always been yours.